All right, guys. So, again, I'm so sorry I can't be there with you today as you start your final, but I really do feel that you guys are going to do fine without me. So, you've had enough practice. You guys know what you're doing. You guys have had plenty of feedback on what you're doing. You guys are gonna be able to do just fine. So let's talk about what you're expected to do. So here is a slideshow that goes over what the disorders are and what the application final is asking you to do, and then you will go ahead and just write a 5-paragraph essay based on what those two things are. So let's talk about what the prompt is. So the directions for your essay read exactly as this, and you'll get that next class. For centuries, thousands of people have enjoyed the mysterious, supernatural, and dark nature of Shakespeare's infamous play Macbeth. The well-known descent of both Lady Macbeth and Macbeth into a blood-drenched madness has captivated audiences for centuries. But it was not until recent brain and psychological theories have come to light that readers and audiences can now look at both Macbeth and Lady Macbeth's personalities and behaviors as a reflection of a mental disorder. Using the 3 psychological theories available to you, so you only have 3, and those 3 are paranoid schizophrenia, narcissistic personality disorder, and PTSD, otherwise known as post-traumatic stress disorder. You will pick one disorder, research that disorder using the packets available, and complete a 5-paragraph essay that argues for the diagnosis of one of these disorders of either Macbeth or Lady Macbeth, so you have a choice of either character. Each paragraph must consist of both one nonfiction piece of evidence and one literary piece of evidence. So you have to use the article and the book. This will count towards 20% of your total grade. So make sure that you take it very seriously. And I do have my email on there. So if you have any questions at any time, feel free to email me. So let's talk about your choices. So you have schizophrenia, narcissistic personality disorder, and post-traumatic stress disorder, otherwise known as PTSD. And these are all pretty common. Well, schizophrenia and post-traumatic stress disorder are pretty well known. Narcissistic personality disorder is a little bit more rare, but it is an interesting and recognized disorder in psychological fields. So let's talk about schizophrenia. So as I read through these symptoms, I want you to think about ways that they apply to Macbeth or Lady Macbeth. So schizophrenia, the main symptoms are delusions, which are things that you either convince yourself, things that you see or hear or think that are not necessarily true. Hallucinations, along the same line. Disorganized thinking or speech. So when you start saying something and then all of a sudden you start going somewhere else, kind of like Miss Reagan, but in a more less purposeful way. Like one minute they'll be talking to you about what they're going to do for breakfast, and the next minute they're talking about aliens on the roof. So things like that. And then extremely disorganized or abnormal motor behavior, so strange ways that they move and behave. And then negative symptoms, which are going to go into more detail in the second section here. So a flat affect is when you don't feel or think anything. Like you find out your dad's dead and you just stare. Like not because you're in shock, but just because you don't care. Okay. Lack of pleasure in everyday life, lack of ability to begin and sustain planned activities, speaking little even when forced to interact, poor executive functioning, which is the ability to understand information and use it to make decisions. So pretty much indecisiveness on an extreme level, of course. Trouble focusing or paying attention, problems with working memory, which means taking information and using it right away. And cognitive symptoms often make it hard to lead a normal life. So, I mean, if you're thinking about both of those characters, they do, once all of this starts happening, they're not normal either anymore. So your job is to look for evidence in the text that supports at least 3 of these things, right? Because you have to diagnose them with this disorder. So that's one option. The second option is narcissistic personality disorder, which is a fun one. So what it is pretty much, narcissistic is a term used to describe someone who is so arrogant and self-confident that they just literally think that they're the best person in the world. So here are some symptoms, and there's more if you read the article. There are some symptoms about how you can identify someone with narcissistic personality disorder. So they react to criticism with anger, shame, or humiliation. They take advantage of others to reach his or her own goals. They exaggerate their own importance, right? Like, I am so important that if I don't do this, everything will fail. They exaggerate their achievements and talents. They entertain unrealistic fantasies about success, power, beauty, intelligence, or romance. They have unreasonable expectation of favorable treatment, so they expect to be treated better than everyone else. They require constant attention and positive reinforcement from others. They're easily jealous. They disregard the feelings of others, lack empathy, so as in they don't know how to feel what others are feeling. They have an obsessive self-interest. Do they talk about anything but themselves? And they pursue mainly selfish goals. So that's narcissistic personality disorder. And the last one is particularly, you could apply it to Macbeth, but you could also apply it to Lady Macbeth towards the end of the play because she kind of exhibits elements of this as well. So PTSD, otherwise long-term called post-traumatic stress disorder, has several features. So intrusive memories, right? So memories that keep happening, memories that feel like they're reliving the event, dreams of the event, Lady Macbeth washing her hands, ... triggers of the event that cause extreme emotional distress, avoidance. So they try to avoid thinking or talking about the traumatic event. They avoid places, activities, or people that remind them of the traumatic event. Moving on to the second column, it also has changes in their thinking and mood. So they have negative feelings about themselves. They have the inability to experience positive emotions, feeling emotionally numb, lack of interest in activities that they once enjoyed, hopelessness about the future, memory problems, difficulty maintaining close relationships. The last one is changes in emotional reactions. So someone who is irritable or has angry outbursts or aggressive behavior is always being on guard for danger. So like being paranoid, thinking that there's someone talking to them when they're not, or that there's also someone listening when they're not. Overwhelming guilt or shame, self-destructive behaviors such as drinking too much or driving too fast or doing something else that's going to cause your downfall, trouble concentrating, trouble sleeping, or being easily startled or frightened. So those are the three types of disorders you can pick from: PTSD, narcissistic personality disorder, and schizophrenia. So the last thing for you guys I want to wrap up with is the review of the paper expectations. So just remember that it must diagnose either Lady Macbeth or Macbeth with one of these disorders. So you can't say like, oh, she has part PTSD and part narcissistic. No, you have to pick one, okay? It must include all of the elements of a 5-paragraph essay that we've been working on all year: introduction, 3 body/support paragraphs, and a conclusion. And here's the kicker, okay? It has to have the parenthetical citations and correct formatting that we use with the To Kill a Mockingbird essay. And the last thing is each body support paragraph must include one piece of nonfiction evidence, okay? Has to have something from the article, and it has to have one piece of literary evidence from Macbeth. You have to be able to weave those two together. So again, I apologize for not being here for you guys. If you have any questions, okay, my email is on your outline, eriggin@carson.k12.nv.us. I am here for you, but really, honestly, guys, I feel so confident about your ability to write these essays that it's actually a better test that I'm not there to see what you guys are going to do, because I think it'll be brilliant when I read them and I'm like, wow, look at these great ideas that they came up with all by themselves. So I look forward to it. Make sure that you guys help each other, but obviously each one is responsible for their own paper. And I look forward to reading them. So be good. Behave for the sub. Good luck. Bye.